Palestinians from Gaza, US President Donald Trump said he'd like to see more than 1 million of Gaza's residents taken in by other Arab nations. He told reporters that the strip was, and I quote, literally a demolition site, and suggested it be cleaned out. Well, let's go live to our correspondent John Donaldson, who joins me from Jerusalem. John, we are seeing these extraordinary live pictures of those thousands of people heading back to the north, I suppose, to see what is left of their homes.
Yeah, we're not talking about thousands of people, we're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people on the move. It's estimated there are some more than 500,000 Palestinians in southern Gaza who have been displaced from the north and are going to try and go home. But you're right to suggest that many of them won't have a home to go to. The United Nations says some 60% of all buildings in the Gaza Strip have been destroyed or damaged. Nevertheless, people want to get back to the rubble of their homes.
Waiting, just explain the difference between those who are on foot and if they do have a vehicle.
Yeah, so from 7 o'clock local time this morning, Palestinians are allowed to start moving on foot. So they all started going up the coastal road, which runs all the way along the coast through Gaza. And it's quite a long walk, actually. I mean, certainly they're going to the very far north of Gaza. You're going to be talking more than 10 kilometres. They were going on foot, carrying whatever the young. 2 hours later, they opened the now been put on the list of those who are going to be free later in the week, because at the weekend we only had me out. So that she's going to come out on Thursday now with 2 other Israeli hostages, and then on Saturday further hostages will be released in exchange for scores of Palestinian prisoners.
And on the ceasefire deal, we are in phase 1. How many people in this first phase are we expected to be released? And indeed, how many of those Palestinian prisoners that are held in Israeli jails will be released in return?
Well, on the Israeli side, it's 33 Israeli hostages in total in the first 6-week phase. 7 have already come out so far, so that's 26 more over the next 5 weeks. On the Palestinian side, we've had about 300 prisoners released from Israeli jails so far, and there's a further 1,600 Palestinian prisoners to come in the next 5 weeks. And I expect every weekend there's going to be wrangling over the names on the list, who should come out, whether it's hostages who are alive, seniority, the seriousness of some of the offences those Palestinian prisoners have used, that Gaza should be cleaned out. For many Palestinians, well, that will just sound like ethnic cleansing. Mr. Trump suggested that Palestinians should emigrate on a temporary or long-term basis to Egypt and Jordan. Egypt has said, no, we're not having that. Jordan has said the same. So for the Arab world, I mean, that is a non-starter. Gaza, for them, is these people's homes. So they're not going to leave. On the other side, it's been welcomed by some of the far-right Israeli ministers and settlers who have been saying for months now that they should encourage emigration from Gaza in order that Jewish settlers could move back into Gaza and set up settlements there. So, you know, Donald Trump has a long history of speaking off the cuff, floating ideas that maybe don't come to fruition, but certainly a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger, really, from Palestinians here in the Holy Land.
John Donaldson in Jerusalem, thank you. I want to bring in now our Gaza correspondent, Rushdie Abalouth, who you will remember at the start of...
All right.
More than 1 million in the morning, but in the last hour they started to allow cars to cross into northern Gaza. The process is that they allow 20 cars each time to a certain area, They are checked by scanner first and by hands. So there is a team inspecting the car, checking